My name is Valentina Rivera, and I'm here to talk to you today about constitutional rights within disaster policies. First and foremost, I'd like to discuss the guidelines and principles that have been created to serve as a guide to protect people during these times. The rule of law during a disaster, created by the American Bar Association, contributes a set of 12 principles in support of preservation of rule of law during major disasters that become lawless by nature if severe enough. Human Rights in Natural Disasters was published by the Interagency Standing Committee, and it creates guidelines that focus on what humanitarian actors should do in order to implement a human rights-based approach to aid in disaster relief. Even though these resources exist, basic human rights are still infringed on during these times. Here are some to list a few. The First Amendment discusses the freedom to assemble, freedom of religion, and most importantly for our sake, the freedom of speech. The most common way of limiting this is by limiting media coverage during disasters. If relief is going poorly, the government may try to limit spectators and the leaking of information. The Second Amendment highlights the right to bear arms, which in a time of panic and disaster is very important for some in the case of self-defense. Depending on the severity of the disaster, looting may become common, and those who wish to defend themselves, their properties, and businesses need their firearms. Also, some evacuation centers do not allow firearms or weapons of any kind. The Fourth Amendment discusses the right for people to be secure in their persons and homes from unreasonable searches and seizures. Some could argue that forced evacuations and displacements during disaster relief infringe these rights. The Sixth Amendment protects the accused and ensures the right to a fair and speedy trial. This means that those who are charged during times of disasters or before must still be protected by those rights. The 14th Amendment protects citizens from being discriminated against. This includes depriving certain people from aid and disaster relief. Lastly, I pose Hurricane Katrina as a prime example of disaster relief gone wrong and human rights being violated. At a prison in New Orleans, men, women, and children were held, many for minor offenses, and then abandoned as living conditions diminished. Minorities, especially African Americans, were largely discriminated against by being locked out of recovery jobs. Police officers began confiscating weapons from civilians in preparation of a forced evacuation of those last holdouts who may resist. Louisiana's federally endorsed evacuation plan relied on cars as the primary means of escape, even though an estimated 120,000 people in New Orleans, one-third of residents, didn't own a car. This disaster put in question the entire protocol established by the government and hopefully helped incite change in how to properly aid, assist, and protect future affected communities and their rights. Thank you.